Hello and welcome to my latest video on Jurassic World Alive. Before I get into today's video, it would really help this channel if you could subscribe and also click the notification bell. If you enjoy this video, then please click on the like button. In this video, I'm going to cover off the main points of the 2.7 update that was announced yesterday, and primarily I'm going to focus on the new creature family that was announced, which is Phlox, and that is Phlox, and their associated new abilities. I really think this has the potential of being an absolute game changer, so I'm going to spend some time running through what Phlox are all about, what their new abilities are, and cover off all the creatures that are being released in 2.7 that are Phlox, or Phlox related if you like. I'll also cover off all the additional creatures that are being released in 2.7, which also include a new Apex and the creature updates. And there's a couple of big ones in there. Monolometrodon is getting a nerf, or a number of nerfs. Long time coming, I think, for a lot of people. There's also a number of buffs as well to a number of creatures, so there's a good balance in the creature update section. 2.7 also introduces a bunch of new achievements, and I'll run through those as well. Okay, so that's the introductions done. Let's get on with the video. So before I get into the actual new creatures, I know everyone's excited about seeing what new creatures are. I'm going to cover off the new creature family that's been announced in the 2.7 release notes, and that is Phlox. So Phlox are a completely new concept in the game, and basically you have not a single creature, you actually have a flock of 3 creatures, and when all 3 are defeated, that's it, your flock is defeated. Phlox have the ability to call a new member into their flock after one has been defeated. It's a bit like creatures that can heal themselves, and Phlox can withstand powerful attacks and keep going even after they've lost a flock member. But we have to be careful here that there will be abilities that are group attacks, so can attack the whole flock and not just an individual member of that flock. So I think there's going to be a lot more to think about in the game. And as you can see there's a number of creatures in this 2.7 update that are going to be flock creatures. We have the Dodo, we have the Compsognathus Gen 2, Dodocevia, and Compsocaulus. The new flock creatures have come with a new set of abilities called alert abilities, and these all have alert in their names. The alert abilities have different effects based on the flock's remaining health points, and this is represented in how many flock members are still fighting. So depending on the number of flock members that are still fighting, the alert ability will have different attributes depending on whether it's in a secure state or a threatened state. Typically in a secure state you will get a fuller damage because you've got more members in your flock to do damage. Typically in a threatened state you will have heightened dodge or avoidance or defensive attributes. Interestingly, some of the non-flock creatures do actually have alert abilities too, and these thresholds are based on their total health points, deciding between secure and threatened states. So our first new creature, we have Compsognathus Gen 2, and this is a flocking creature. That is flocking creature. This is a cunning class creature, very much a hit and run expert, as it says there. So it's got its swap prevention passive ability there through Alert Swarm, and it's got its nullifying effects as well as a result of Hop and Mock. It's also got Alert the Flock down as a passive ability, but this ability is the rally heal. So this is getting a new creature in to your flock once one has died. I don't see that as a passive move, and then when it is activated you're unable to swap for 2 turns. So I'm wondering whether the release notes are wrong there, that this shouldn't be a passive ability, it's actually a move, because you'd want to specify that yourself if you're going to incur a inability to swap for 2 turns. I don't think I want that controlled for me. In addition, it's got the Courageous Alert, which gives a 1x damage and 100% critical hit while you're secure, and when you're threatened you're down to a 1 times attack, but you do have a dodge ability there. And then finally you've got the standard impact and run. And now on to Bumpy. So this is a character from the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous series on Netflix, for those who are familiar with that series. As you can see, it's an ankylosaur, and it's got 1 large horn. So this is a resilient swap-in tank. So it's very much a case of it's got its swap-in stun, group taunts and shields, and also it's got its group taunting shields impact there. So it's got an attack as well as its 50% shields. It's got stunning alert down as passive. Again, I don't think that's a passive. I don't know whether that's its swap-in attack. Its swap-in stunning attack is down as a stunning alert. So again, looks like a really good option for raids with its instant invincibility, taunt, and its group taunting shields impact as well. So defending the raid team, but also getting some hits in as well. So it looks really useful. And now on to the famous Dodo. So this made an appearance in the April Fool's Day event, and it's great to see it coming back as its own creature in its own right, which we can collect. It's very obviously the Dodo is probably one of the most famous old birds. So obviously went extinct in the 1600s, as it said there, was exterminated by man. So this is down as a cunning and an epic creature, and it says it's a cunning reinforcer. So it's using the Dodo's protective ability to reduce opponents' damage, then hit them hard with a sacrificial alert decoy if the flock has enough HP to survive it. So let me explain that. So first of all, it's got the absorb ability. So this tells you it's a flocking character. So if it loses 1/3 of its health, it loses 1 of its 3 flock members. So in terms of abilities, it's got Flightless Strike, which is just pretty much a 1 times attack bypassing armor. We have the Protective Alert, so this is one of the new alert abilities. This reduces all opponents' damage and makes them vulnerable while the flock is secure, so while it's got 3 out of its 3 creatures. If it's threatened, so if it's dropped one or more of its creatures, then it gets a 33.4% HP increase, and all opponents' damage is reduced by 50%. And then finally we've got the alert decoy. So this only applies when the flock is secure, so when it's got all its 3 flock members. So the highest damage opponent gets a 2 times attack and 100% critical chance, so it gets a big wallop, but at the cost of 33.4% HP, which I'm guessing is you lose one of your flock members as a result. So you get that big hit, but you lose one of your flock members. So that's the Dodo. And now on to Compsognathus. This is the last of our non-hybrids, and again this is straight from Jurassic Park, The Lost World. This is a cunning epic creature, and it's down as a cunning swarmer, and it says there, swap to Compsognathus to reinforce your own flock's health points and chance to dodge. Use Compsognathus cunning and taunting abilities to remove or reduce your opponent's positive effects. So the way it does that is you've got the abilities there. You've got absorb, which says this is a flocking creature, so it's able to absorb damage by only impacting 1 member at a time of the flock. And then we have the alert swarm, which is the swap prevention. And then we have alert the flock when you're down to 2 or 1 out of 3 of your flock. You can rally heal and get one of those creatures back into your flock, but you're unable to swap for 2 turns. In terms of moves, you've got the cunning strike, standard cunning strike. No details on numbers here in terms of how much damage that would do. We've got the hop and mock. It's basically a taunt, dodge, and also targeting the most buffed enemy, gets all its beneficial effects removed. Okay, and then on to alert scurry. When you're secure, when you've got all your members of your flock, it targets the highest damage enemy, and gives 2 times attack and reduces its damage by 50%. If you're threatened, so if you're under that 3 out of 3, if you've only got 1 or 2 members of your flock, you're doing a reduced damage, but you're doing 1.5 damage, and the highest damage enemy gets a 25% reduction in its damage. And it says that you also get a reinforced 33.4% health, which I'm guessing is a rally. So it's one of the creatures coming into your flock, being added to your flock and adding to your HP. And now on to our first hybrid, and we've got the legendary Dodocevia, which is made up of our new Dodo creature and our long established common Dodocevia. I think I've said that right. Dodocevia. So this got this down as Dodocevia as a cunning hit and run expert. So you can see it's got the absorb ability. So we know this is a flocking creature. So it'll have 3 creatures in its flock, and as damage goes down, one member of the flock will be eliminated for every third of the total health points taken. So in terms of abilities, we've got Flightless Strike, which is targeting the lowest HP opponent with a 1x attack, bypassing armor. We've got the Protective Alert. Now this is one of those alert abilities again, so when the state is secure, when we've got all 3 members in the flock, this will reduce all opponents' damage and make them vulnerable. If we're in a threatened state, then you get the health points are increased by 33.4%, so effectively you're getting a new member back into your flock. So if you remember, if you're threatened, it means you've either got 2 or 1 members of the flock there. So we're getting one of our flock members back and reducing all opponents' damage by 50%. And then on to Revenge Distracting Impact. This is taking the 2 abilities of Dodocevia and putting them into one ability. We target the highest damage creature and we reduce its damage by 50%. And we also deal 1.5 times damage under normal circumstances, or if this is a revenge, then it's 2 times damage. And then we have the Alert Decoy, and this comes from Dodo. So Alert Decoy, while you're secure, it targets the highest damage opponent and gives 2 times damage with a 100% critical chance. But you are actually sacrificing a third of your health points, so that is, you're returning 1 member of your flock, so you're down 1 member of your flock basically. So that's Dodocevia, and we'll see how that one works out in PvP and maybe raids as well. And now on to Compsocaulus, which is a hybrid of Compsognathus, the new creature in 2.7, which I've talked about, and Dodocevia Gen 2, which, as it happens, is this week's hybrid pursuit creature. So I hope everyone's been getting that one and darting as much DNA as you can. Okay, in terms of abilities, Absorb. So we know this is a flock creature, and we know all about Absorb. And then we've got Swap In Distraction. So it gets this from Dodocevia. So this is a decreased damage, 100% for 2 attacks, lasting 1 turn after swap in. We've got a standard Cunning Strike. That's not a new one. We've got the new Hop and Mock, which is basically a taunt and dodge move, and it removes the beneficial effects from the most buffed enemy. So that's really useful. And then we have Restricted Group Distraction. So all opponents get 1.5 times attack and reduction in their damage of 50% over 2 attacks in 1 turn. And then finally the Alert Scurry. This is targeting the highest damage enemy. It gets 2 times damage and gets its damage reduced by 50% during a secure state. If we've lost any of our creatures within our flock, then we're in a threatened state, and for that we'll have a 1.5 times damage and a reduction of 25% of the enemy's damage. However, we do get an increase in health of 33.4% as we get one of our Compsocaulus back into our flock. Last but not least, for our new creatures in 2.7, we have Refrenantem. So this is an Apex creature, will be a raid boss on a Friday, and is based on Dilophosaur. And it's down here as a Cunning Distraction Expert. So let's go through its abilities. So It's got alert, counter, distraction. So this is a cumulative damage reduction of 10%. And then we have its swap in distraction is 100% distraction for 2 attacks lasting 1 turn after the swap in. Then we have Cunning Strike, which comes straight from Dilophosaurus, which is pretty much a 1 times attack. And we have one of the new moves now. We have Alert Nullification, and this is removing all beneficial effects, reducing damage by 50% for 4 attacks lasting 2 turns. And again, from Dilophosaurus, we've got the Cunning Rampage, so this is a 2 times attack. And finally, Super Distraction, so it targeting the highest damage enemy. It removes dodge, attacks half times the damage, reduces target's damage by 50%, and has a 25% chance to stun. And then all opponents get a 1 times attack, 50% reduction in their damage, and overall this ability gets a delay of 1 and cooldown of 2. So again, it's a great set of abilities for an Apex creature, Cunning Apex. So as it says there, swap to Refrenantem to trigger its passive distraction, then use its multiple targeted distraction, group distraction, group nullifying, and critical chance reduction abilities to render your opponents powerless. Well, that sounds like an amazingly powerful creature, and I'm sure it'll be a tyrant tier, but that remains to be seen. So good luck on the Friday raid, guys, with that Refrenantem raid boss. I think we'll all be looking forward to seeing what that looks like, and seeing the strategies to actually bring it down as well. As I mentioned there, Refrenantem is going to be one of our raid bosses coming in May. More on that in a second. In addition, we're getting Blue is going to replace Woolly Mammoth as a raid boss. That's going to start May the 11th. Miolania is going to be the second rare raid boss, and that's going to start on May the 19th. And as I mentioned, Refrenantem is going to start being a raid boss on May the 28th, and that will be the first Friday raid boss that we've had. So we've got a full Monday to Friday raid schedule, which is fantastic. And additionally, the level of the Smilonimus raid boss being reduced from 24 to 22. In terms of new achievements, there's 10 in all. You can see them listed there. So obviously in support of our epic DNA Sundays, we've got 2 achievements related to giving and receiving epic DNA. We've got 3 achievements there linked to 2.6 creatures: Stegosaurus, Struthiomimus, and Rinchenia, getting them to level 15. So those all relate to, as I said, the 2.6 update. And then in relation to the 2.7 update, we've got create 4 flock creatures. We've got win 50 PvP battles using flock creatures. That could be fun. Evolving Compsognathus to level 15. Using the Courageous Alert ability 30 times. And getting 30 direct hits on epic flock creatures. So that's Bumpy, Dodo, and Compsognathus. So that looks like a lot of fun. In terms of creature updates, so these are pretty significant. The first one there is Monolometrodon, and there's been a lot of chat about this being an overpowered legendary creature, given that it's got 2 common creatures that make it up as a hybrid. So it's very easy to create and level up. So that's going to have its abilities change. So Fierce Rampage now becomes Fierce Impact, and its crit reduction is going from 50 to 0. Speed decrease is going down to 75%, and reduced damage down to 25% from 50. So significant changes there, and I know personally I'll be dropping that one off my PvP team as a result of those changes. And we've also got Sarcorixis again, when we've had championship tournaments where it's been epic creatures and you can bring in, it's any level. There's no restriction on level. Sarcorhexis pretty much dominates, so that's getting a number of nerfs here. So speed dropping from 117 to 113. Its attack reducing from 1300 to 1100. Health being increased from 4200 to 4500. And in terms of speed decrease, that resistance is dropping from 100% to 75% resistance. So those are the two main nerfs, or those are the only two nerfs, and then we've got a couple of buffs coming here. We've got Dracoceratosaurus, so this is the hybrid for Dracoceratops, and it was always said to be a bit weak for a unique, certainly compared to Dracoceratops. So that's getting its Cunning Impact changed to Cunning Rampage. It's getting a little boost of speed there from 117 to 119, and in terms of resistance, its speed decrease going from 0 to 100% resistant to speed decrease, so it won't be able to have its speed decreased. So that looks interesting. We'll see if we get players putting that into their PvP team and seeing a bit more variety in the battle arena. And then Schoonosaurus, the kind of lesser brother of Gemini Titan and Ardentis Maxima. Again, well in need of a buff, or at least one buff. So here we've got, it's gaining medium resilient counterattack, which would be really good. And it's getting group distraction moved to restricted group distraction. So restricted group distraction, that's in line with the Compsocaulus new legendary in 2.7, so interesting, is getting one of the new moves there. It's also getting a health boost 5700 to 5850, so it's a little bit of a boost there on health, but again, it will be interesting if we get Schoonosaurus in battle arenas, and I suspect we'll see more of them in raid teams as well. So yeah, I think that looks that's really interesting. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it or found it informative. Please do provide feedback in the description below. I always respond to comments, so please feel free to add your comments, feedback or suggestions. Okay, until next time, this is Alien Newt.